Hi.
Good morning.
Hello, everyone. We are live from San Francisco. I'm Rumiana Williams, and I'm an experienced design manager at Adobe. And I'm based in New York City. And today I'm here with Kat Lowe, who is also from New York City.
Yes, awesome. New York City represents.
Yay! So we have a full day packed for you, and we'll be here today, tomorrow, and Thursday. And let's get it out of the way. Let's look at the schedule. So at 9, this is now, talking to Kat Lowe. At 11, we have Lauren with Mark. At 1, we have Josh, hosted by Michael, and this will be our schedule for the next 3 days. So in addition to this, we will be designing live with Kat. We're going to be learning about her and her process. I can't wait, by the way. She has so many interesting things to share. And also we have some cool stuff for the audience. But first of all, welcome everyone. Please tell us where you're from and ask us any questions. We're here to learn again and also learn from the audience. And we're gonna have a challenge today, which you'll be able to see in the 3rd tab. Today we're gonna have a challenge, create one screen, which will be a playlist UI. Tomorrow you're going to have another challenge, which we'll tell you about. And the 3rd day, we're going to have a portfolio review. So you'll be sending us your portfolio, and we will be reviewing and giving you feedback. Let's get started. Hi, Kat.
Hi,
welcome.
How are you? Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
Yay.
Thank you, everyone, for joining in at 9 a.m. in the morning in the Pacific. And it's probably noon for us in New York City.
Yeah, we've been up for a while.
Yeah, I know. So thanks for definitely tuning in. I'm so excited to see you again since it's our first time seeing each other 4 months ago and at 99U. So I was really excited to see you.
Me too.
To host me.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about you.
Yeah, can we switch to the slides? So as you know, nice to meet you all. My name is Catherine Lowe, and say hello to everyone from the chat. Please tell us what you've done this past weekend to wrap up the end of summer. Did you get a pumpkin spice latte to ring in the fall season? I know we didn't, because we had a pretty hot New York City weather.
You kind of needed it in San Francisco, though. I needed a jacket this morning, which was kind of a not nice surprise.
Yeah. So a little bit about me. First thing about me, I moved here to America from Taiwan when I was 9 years old. And here's my picture of my hair being eaten by a giraffe from the zoo. Second, I actually was published in a book called Clients from Hell, which is a collection of anonymously contributed horror stories that you've had with terrible clients. And my quote was, "1 pixel is still too big. Please make it smaller."
Oh my God, this is the best.
Well, the person actually zoomed in like 1200% and was like, just make that smaller. I'm like,
Did you
no.
do the illustration too?
No, I didn't. Actually, the book author did the poster as well. So
Nice.
And the 3rd one is I actually like making funny websites. And one of my famous website is called the Meme Generator, which you put a funny joke, a caption over a funny image. And that website gets like thousands of views because everyone's kind of sending jokes to their friends through messages or email. And back in the early 2000s, I actually made websites to download Christmas screensavers. And I know that's not a very popular thing to do now, but it was pretty cool back in the day.
Well, maybe we can try some of that.
Some Yule log.
Yeah, later.
So a little bit more about me. Seriously, I've been a designer for 13 years. My background was in print and packaging design and branding, but I quickly switched to sort of working with the web, so responsive web design and visual design.
And were you in New York this whole time?
Oh yeah, I was in New York this whole time. I've moved there after college, and I've been there since.
Cool.
So throughout the time in New York, I was lucky enough to be able to work with all these clients. And at a certain point in my journey, I just got a little confused in terms of like what I want to do next, and I didn't know what kind of opportunities were out there for me. So one day I decided, you know what, I'm gonna try out an interview with Google. And at the end of the interview process, they gave me an assignment, which was take a website and kind of redesign it and show us, you know, what you got. And of course, you can't design a Google website because that would definitely be unfair. So I decided to redesign LinkedIn, and I posted it on Behance. At the time, I didn't know if anyone cared about my comments, my designs. I didn't know anything about how popular or that topic would be. And next day I woke up and that went viral on Twitter.
That's awesome.
Which totally unexpected, and I was confused. I didn't know why that is. I don't know why something would be viral and something would not be. So after it became viral, it got posted to Gizmodo on the front page.
Cool.
And because of that, it syndicated to a bunch of websites, and it eventually ended up being on LinkedIn Today, which is their news article.
Did they take any cues from your design?
I actually didn't know that it was on LinkedIn Today
until
I got an email from LinkedIn, which was the VP of products at the time, before Microsoft acquired, sent me an email and said, hey, saw your work, interesting, would love to talk. So I was pretty shocked.
Did they want to hire you?
Well, I felt like they did, but I was just really shocked by it because I didn't know that I could actually reach somebody inside another huge company when I'm kind of just designing something on my own in my room.
Yeah. So, this is actually a really good maybe time to just mention to the audience that when you want to design something, post it on Behance, and you never know what could happen.
Right.
So be brave, put yourself out there.
Yep, you've said it. So I was invited to go to LinkedIn and SF to check it out. And of course, you know, everyone knows each other in San Francisco, so I was able to go to Google and also Netflix. And it was such a great opportunity because I got to see how people worked. I got to see, you know, how many designers to developers to project managers and how projects worked. How did they go about designing a feature? How did they actually process the priorities? And it's very different. LinkedIn was 40 designers, 40 developers at a time. Google has much more, and Netflix had a very, very small focus group of 10 people. So it's crazy to me to think that, you know, you can have different variety of sizes for each company, and how did they kind of tackle what they want to make?
Because it's very different from what you used to, right? Working as an independent designer.
Definitely.
I want to know more about that. I'll ask her later.
So yes, so like Rumiana said, don't be afraid.
Oh, sorry, I jumped.
No, don't be afraid to put your work out there, because you never know who's going to be looking at it. You know, you never know if someone would love it, they would go viral. You never know, so don't be afraid. So I noticed that on Behance, there's this new feature called Work in Progress. So
yes, let's talk about
that.
Well, actually, we should talk about the challenge because let's talk about it so people can start designing because they don't have a lot of time. So the challenge today is to design one screen, which is a playlist for a favorite music app. It's just one screen. We have a template for you. You should download Adobe XD for free, and unless you have already the subscription. And use the template because that will actually have the exact size for the Adobe for the Behance story work in progress. Otherwise, you might have issues with the layout. So you can design and send us your designs just using the hashtag. I think it comes in automatically if you're posting from the web. If you're posting from the app, make sure you put in Adobe Live, and we will view, I think, today before we step off, and we'll give you some feedback. Kat will have some tips, and if you win, you will get a Creative Cloud subscription for a whole year, which is, I think, a really good prize. So go design, but stay and watch too, because you will learn a lot of things. I know I will. Yes, but the feature is awesome, and you can try it. Just post your work in progress, and I think Kat had tips on posting work.
Oh, cool. But I don't know
Keep
what the tips are.
posting.
Just keep posting and don't be afraid to put it out there, because you can't really improve or get better without feedback and comments from your peers, and it's definitely part of the process when you're designing is the feedback process.
Yeah. And the work is never finished. Yes, and the template is at 2x, so it will be the right size. Someone pointed out, Raphael. Thank you. And please tell us where you're from and if you have any questions. So, hi, Stanford UK. Cool. If you have any questions. Okay.
Okay. Cool. So, to come back to my career path, I've been specializing in iOS UI and UX design for the last 6 years, which is probably the beginning of time, because that's when sort of the iPhone stuff came out. And so sorry to recap. After that experience, I discovered that I would love to focus more on the UI and UX side, aside from making websites and what I've done previously. Because simple fact is that it's exciting and new, and there's always something coming out every year, and I just relish that sense of challenge. And with the UI and UX, and now with their wearables and iPad and different devices, there's a lot of UX challenges in terms of like how to make something coherent and consistent and have the right experience through the whole business. So this is some of my more current work, and currently I work with enterprise software where we create custom solutions for different businesses. So right now, for the last 3 years, I've been a self-employed designer. I basically work with businesses to help them conceptualize, organize their ideas, and produce products that they need help with. So currently, I am working mostly with Martian Craft. And Martian Craft is a remote company that specializes in iOS development. So they're really cool. Check them out at martiancraft.com.
And you work from home, right?
Yes, so I work from home. I work remotely. We're 100% remote workers. So we're all from different parts of the U.S., and there are people actually from the U.K. And we do meet up once in a while at the client offices.
In person?
In person. So it's kind of funny to see people work remotely in person. But we do a lot of video chat, audio, and there's different challenges in working remotely than in real life, because you can see each other quickly, you can talk to each other. So there's a lot of things that we need to do in terms of communication. You need to over-communicate to express things to clients very, very specifically, and show prototype quickly, and give them that interaction on their phone, and not just send them an image with a write-up, because most likely you can't convey the prototype just with an image. So we use a lot of prototyping software. So XD really helps with that, because you can kind of design something quickly and then go through and show the prototype right away, so that everyone can kind of check it out, play around, and then get some feedback.
And that's what you're going to share today, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Cool.
Okay, cool. So I want to just get started with today's topic, what we're going to be working on. And so this project today is going to be a company called Pollen Inc. And Pollen Inc. is a floral shop in New York City that provides expertly crafted, made-to-order floral arrangements for you. And the reason why they're so cool is because they're able to source flowers from all over the world. They have unique access to special types, and they have experienced designers that will put together your creations. So they decided that they would like to have more of a mobile presence. So they would like to create a new channel for sales and build engagement with their current customers and have brand loyalty. So with this ask, I want to go over sort of a design process that we're going through today. I know the design process is actually pretty long and it's a long road. So because of our 3-day segment, I want to make a more simpler type of strategy. So we're going to be defining first, then ideation, then go through the prototype. Then we're going to build it with visual updates for the UI, and then we're going to analyze that, take a look to see if there's anything we need to do to kind of edit it and iterate on that. And if it doesn't work, we go back to our design strategy, which is the pivoting of the idea.
So it's actually showing you how products are built in real life.
Yes, correct. In a much, much simpler fashion, because products are being built in a bigger cycle. Yeah, of course.
Because I think when you're in school, they teach you the process is pretty linear, but I think what you're going to show us is what actually happens.
Circular. It's actually a big circular effect, and it is not a one straight line. It's definitely a waterfall. You could think about an idea from all over a circle, kind of like building a snowball, backwards, forward, side, thinking about use cases, thinking about a customer from all angles. So that's why it's important to kind of define the strategy right from the beginning.
Cool.
So
let's get to it.
Day 1, we're going to focus on the first 3, which is defining, idealization, and prototyping. So today, we're going to try to get all of that in and try to make an MVP quickly so we can get to a prototype.
Maybe you can tell if anyone doesn't know what MVP is.
Oh, minimal viable product, which means that we're going to boil down everything really. Oh, sorry. I was just reading that Francisco Lee has no idea what I'm talking about. I'm very confused.
Yeah, this is an abbreviation you will hear in product design so much.
Yeah. So like when you're trying to build a product, you want to make sure it's very focused and very, very small and simple to start. Because once you kind of get away from that, you would be confused. So start building something very simple and adding layers on top, and then checking to see if that makes sense from that point of view.
And we have also a translation for what it would be.
Producto minimal viable. That's really cool. Yeah, so day 2, we'll be adding new features to day 1. So we would be adding new features, doing some design refinements, and updating our prototype along the way. And day 3, I want to really focus on analyzing and idealizing. So that means in a real life scenario, we will have feedback from customers, from the business, and we want to make sure everyone is sort of getting their idea across and aligning with their ask. So yeah, so is this process based on Scrum or design thinking? There's a little bit of both, I think. Design thinking and Scrum is a little, but yeah, let's probably not go into that. It's a long conversation.
Yes.
So yeah, so first day, which is today, we're going to be laying down the groundwork, which we're going to kind of define a strategy so that we could make a prototype. So before we do that, we should ask ourselves who are our customers. So before we start the project, we would need to kind of pull our Pollen's customers and see sort of the research behind this. So general questions: how do people buy flowers currently? How do we personalize the flowers? And what flowers are available? And what flowers are appropriate for what occasion? These are just basic questions that come to my mind when I think about customers in general. So for Pollen's customers, there's 3 major types. The first is the millennials, which are 18 to 30. They have a lot lower appreciation for flowers, and they kind of need images and visual impact to decide if they would like to purchase something. They don't have a lot of knowledge in terms of like what the flowers are, like what their names are, because it's kind of difficult. So that kind of prevents them from picking up flowers for themselves. And they're less likely to kind of purchase flowers that are all in the same type. So they wouldn't, less likely to buy like a bouquet just of roses, just of tulips, just of lilies. They probably more like to have a more individualistic aesthetic, so a mixed bouquet of some sort. So that kind of gets into the personalization of the gift. They like it to be more unique because they also want to impress their guests, impress their recipient of their gift. So they're more likely to buy on impulse. The second type of customer is more or less the same from 40 to 60-year-olds. They would like the convenience of the delivery. They work with the florist currently now because they like their expertise on the design and also what to pick. So they have a higher appreciation of the taste. Mm-hmm. So I feel like this kind of customer is definitely more easy to start with because you know that they're already loyal to the company and they already work with the florist currently. So we're gonna be focusing in more on this group of people for today.
And in general, it's easier to focus on one segment, right? Instead of just diving into everything.
Yeah, because as you know, if you design for everyone, you design for no one.
Yeah.
And obviously, you know, flowers are something very common. Everyone enjoys them. So your age group could be from anywhere from the 18 to 60. Basically, that's all ages. So we wanted to really kind of narrow down, you know, what are the two types of customers or three types.
Cool.
So general purchase behavior, like I'm just gonna summarize a little bit about the customers. The younger generations tend to buy at a supermarket because of the convenience and low pricing. So obviously they buy for themselves, 70%, 60% or 68% for a gift. And most of the time they go online, they research what it looks like first. Then they look at the price, then they send the flowers. And of course, it's obviously true that florists are respected because of their quality of the design. They know where they're going to get. And obviously, longevity has to do with the flower quality. So they won't be wilting quickly. So in terms of generalizing the market research, flowers are obviously valued across all generations. 73% of the people have high appreciation for them. And flowers are the #1 choice for romantic and housewarming gifts. And also to really define what flowers really mean, they have a very strong emotional connection with the receiver. And in the order of importance, they care more about the color, the sight, the smell, and the fragrance of the arrangement because they believe that they have a special meaning. So because of that sort of research, it shows that if #1 is the color, #2 is the sight and smell, and then the fragrance, I'm thinking that, hey, what if we allow and surface that to the customer? Have them be able to customize the color, customize the type, and then give them the option of presenting designed arrangements. And that is not really how flowers are purchased now. What happens is you go to a flower shop, you tell them, you know, what's the occasion, it's for your friend or for your mom, and then you're presented with a bunch of different arrangements with different colors, different flowers, and you just sort of look at them and say, oh, I like this. So what exactly is how would you classify that? So this is a way for me to sort of put some sense into the purchase behavior.
And there was a question from the audience. How does the define phase fit into the MVP?
Yes, so I will get to that.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so I'll just boil down all of that research into top 10 things that I get from that. So flower quality, getting what you are going to get, what's the value. So these are the top 10 things. So these are more of an idealization and brainstorm.
Cool.
And so to define it more, I say, what's a user story? So a user story I like to do is a template called as what type of user, I want sort of a goal, so that a reason. So I could say, okay, as a current customer of Pollen, I want a convenient way to order flowers so that I have better access to the design, to the price, and I don't have to go to the store because it's convenient.
That's huge.
So this is a very, very general topic, and this is it's a very general thing to say, but you can also break down the story into multiple parts. So like you can say, okay, the current customer, what do you want? You want to order flowers as a gift. You don't have to go to the store. You can browse prices and designs online before you purchase, and you can order it quickly with fast delivery. So from that, I then boil down a little bit more. So what am I making today? Here are the 5 important goals. Wide selection of products, showing that, fast and easy ordering to purchase, ability to adjust the price so that the customer would be happy with what they're willing to pay and what's the design, have fast delivery, and obviously what's very important is the presentation of how it looks, the color, sight, and fragrance. So now that I know that I have these 5 important critical goals, I go back to the drawing board and I think some more. It's a lot of thinking.
Oh, wow.
So here's just a very big sheet of paper where I just come up with ideas. I think about stuff. I think about the 5 MVP ideas that we're going to do. So just thinking about, how do I create an experience? What have you done? What has been done already? What sets this apart from something else? There's a lot of thinking involved to come up with just the 5 points. And what happens is you boil it down some more. And this is the last slide.
This is the fun part.
This is the fun part. Yes. So I boiled it down to 4 screens. I have an ability to choose the color, ability to choose the variety, show me a list of arrangements, and then give me the description.
And generally when you start a project, you always write down everything and then you go into these drawings, right?
Yeah, actually I write down a lot because there's so many ideas out there and everyone has different ideas in a group. You might think a certain way for something, I might think a certain way for something, so we should all write down all of our ideas at once, put it all against the board, and there might be hundreds of ideas. And these ideas that were in my PowerPoint presentation were actually from a study that I just took so that I can come up with some of the ideas really quickly. So yes, you do this for every single project. You could have a group of 20 people and you might come up with 200 ideas, but how do you make sure the 200 ideas get in terms of an MVP? How do you simplify all of that, and how do you put priorities with what's critically important, what is nice to have, what is want to have, and how do you characterize and put them in phases? So the first day today, we're just gonna be focusing only on the key screens, which are just these screens. And the next day, tomorrow, we'll be talking about adding new features and layering that on top. And third day is to re-talk about some of the feedback that you get from just that. And in a real world situation, that's what happens, is that you create something, put it out there first, and then see what you get out of it.
Cool.
Cool, so.
Are we going to XD?
Yes.
I think, yay, cool. I think there was a question of how long it takes to do that first initial phase.
That's actually quite a lot of time. It's probably a week, more than a week, but in a real life situation, working with a client, it's not a lot of time because everyone seems to think that that idealization or thinking about stuff is really fast. And it is totally not true.
But it's very important that you do this.
It's important you do this because if you think about it, it sets the direction of how you would start working. And if you probably got on the wrong foot and it wasn't the right direction, you could try another one, obviously. But it would just be a lot of back and forth, a lot of circular conversations that really go nowhere. So it's very important to get everyone on board on the same page. What program did I use to create the presentation? I used Keynote, which comes on a Mac. And the research, I have the research in my folder. I don't know how.
On my team, we actually have been using XD to make all our presentations. We stopped using Keynote.
Oh, really?
Because it was so much easier. Well, because you're doing all the designs in XD, so might as well just add a few other screens, and there's animations.
Oh, wow.
And, the fades in.
Right, with the prototype.
Fades in and out.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's really easy, and if you have to make changes, you don't have to export PNGs or JPEGs anymore, so it's super easy.
I'm going to probably make my presentation
so try
XD next.
I love XD. And I'm not saying this because I work here.
Right. Okay. So first thing, when you open up XD, sorry, to go back. I'm going to be creating an iPhone X version.
It's time. It's time for Chat and Win. We got carried away. We forgot it's time for Chat and Win. So please chat, and you have a chance to win a $30 gift card from moo.com. And if you haven't used it, use it. It's awesome. It's really good quality. Business cards, they're awesome. Do you use them?
Yeah, I use them for my business cards.
Yeah, they're beautiful. Probably the best ones out there on the web. So yes, chat.
So, are you guys just typing like 500 miles per hour?
It works. It's going to be a random winner, so go crazy. And we're going to take a short break.
Cool.
Yeah, the chat keeps going. This is so much fun to watch.
Just slamming on the keyboard now with random text.
I think keep chatting. Keep asking questions. Those have been some really good questions. There were some questions about how much you charge, but I think we'll talk about the freelance stuff later.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. So should we do? So what happens is
there will be a winner, but there will be a winner. Keep chatting. Oh, and here we go. We have the winner. Congratulations, Juanino. You won. Yay.
$30 to Moo.
$30. Make those business cards. Start designing them. You can design them in XD too. I used to design everything in Illustrator, but now because I use XD every day, it's been so much easier to just use XD for everything.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
I didn't know that you can use XD for presentation, but it totally makes sense.
Yes.
I didn't think about that.
I think it's one of those things that it's super intuitive. Our product managers are also using XD.
Awesome.
Cool. Let's go design.
Oh, yeah. So for this application, I'm going to start doing design in iPhone X, which is a little bit different than a typical scenario, which I used to just design from the smallest device size possible so it could scale properly.
So it's the worst case scenario.
Yes. But the reason that I wanted to do it on iPhone X is so that I could plug it into my phone and see the interaction right away. And you can do that by plugging in a USB.
Yeah, and they use the XD app. And use the XD app to view it. Yeah, I think it's super important to be able to see your designs
live
and be able to touch them.
Yeah.
Well, especially for when you're designing for touch devices, you really need to understand how you're going to be using it.
Yeah, because sometimes on the screen it looks very big, but when you're looking at it on the phone, you realize maybe the font is too small, maybe the tap area is too small, maybe the placement is wrong, and you can only see that when you see it for real and live.
Yep.
So that's why I decided to do an X, because I just have an X right now. Yeah. So
cool. And we have a timer, I guess, behind us. So design, you have 56 minutes to submit your designs. One screen. Kat will design a bunch more.
Okay, so to start designing, usually you can go straight into using a kit. And I know Experience Design has a bunch of kits available, and you can download a HIG from Apple, which gives you some of the templates for the X.
Those are so helpful.
And it gives you sort of, everything you need to get started. And for the X, there's a bunch of safe areas and templates, which you can just literally click this, copy, and then paste right into your project. You can get started with that.
Yeah, for the X, the safe areas are super important because there's those whatever what are they calling it? Mustache?
The notches and area. Yeah, right.
And the button.
Yeah, so with the colors, you can even start just using these, and these are already available on the side. And there's also the guide to the fonts. And so usually I don't change the font type. I keep the same font because it comes free with the app. And when you're developing an app, if you use a custom font, it actually costs more money for the developer and to license that and in every single font face. And also the other reason is that if you use SF type, you can also utilize the dynamic type system, which allows you to change the font size larger or smaller for accessibility mode.
That's super important.
Yeah, so typically the default size is basically the large here. So large titles are 34, titles 28. So what I usually do is I start with these. I start with these styling. So what you could do is you could copy them over to the screen. And then if you want to make character styles on all these, you can simply press plus. Boom, adds it for you.
Just adds them to the assets panel. And you can reorder them now, right? With the new release of XD that just came out. So XD has releases every month and always new features, which is super exciting. And this one is reordering elements in the assets panel.
Oh, what's the address to get to Apple's UI elements? So what you could do is you can go to Google and you type in.
Oh, it looks like someone already put it in.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, there's XD resources on the Adobe site. And I think in the start screen for
correct.
For XD, actually, there's access to some of the UI kits. Because if you're designing for other devices too, not just iOS.
So you can, so it's File,
and those are
Get UI Kits, and the link is actually right there. Google, Windows, wireframes, and more kits. So when you click on that, it brings you to the developer page.
It's super nice and easy to get. Or you could do Photoshop.
Don't use Photoshop.
We used to design UI in Photoshop. But
me too.
Now I just use it for a lot more
image editing.
Image-based, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of...
But you can go easily between the two, which is that's the best part.
Yeah, so in terms of making the type sizes and the color, so you can always just draw boxes, pick a color that you like. Maybe it's these. And the same way that you would set them up for the font sizes, you can also highlight them and press the plus sign on colors, adds them in right there for you, and it's super convenient. So to kind of speed this up and to create the MVP, I've actually went ahead and made my own kit.
Yes, this shows you that you can't just design in 2 seconds.
You cannot design it in 2 seconds.
Only that screen you have 52 minutes to design, but it's just one screen.
Yes. So, right, you definitely cannot do this in 2 seconds. And sometimes, this entire making a style guide is the hardest part, is to set the design. You could spend weeks and weeks in a continuing process of editing to make components. So I made my own kit for the sake of speeding this up. And this is the kit that I've designed. To go over a little bit, the colors that I'm going to use are these primary colors. It's going to be dark blue. I don't know why, I just picked it out of this. Just picked it.
It's a safe color.
It's a safe color. Everyone uses it. It's actually the color of Behance or similar enough. And then I'm going to be using monotone colors, so these are going to be grays. And the typography are the typography that we just went over. It is the same one as the HIG, Human Interface Guidelines from Apple. So these are exactly the same ones, which I've just added onto my side panel here in character styles. And the next thing I actually start making are sort of the icons. And there's different types of icons. There's the navigational title icons, and there's also tab bar icons, and any kind of graphical elements that you would like to make.
Did you make those?
Yes. So for me to make these, I actually really like to make them in Illustrator.
Well, yeah.
Sorry.
No. That's what you're supposed to do.
I just like to make them in Illustrator because I just feel like I've used it for so long and I'm the fastest in Illustrator, so you don't have to make them in Illustrator. Use the program that you feel comfortable in and that you like. So the way I set this up in Illustrator is that The icons for the tab bar, as you can see, is 28 by 28. And the spacing around each tab is 48 by 32. So you have to make that. So basically I set up an artboard that's 28 by 28 and start drawing it in. And yes, Mike Guzman, the flower icon looks like Murakami. Yes, exactly. I took a lot of inspiration from the Murakami flower.
Nice.
And I love that flower, and I thought, you know what, that fits perfectly with my idea of like customizing your own flowers. So
That's perfect.
make each petal a different color scheme. So yeah, I drew this in Illustrator, kind of just drew the shape for that, repeated it around, made a solid shape, knocked it out, and made this graphic.
It's really cute. I love it.
So what's really great about this is that you draw the icon here. You can literally copy Command-C and paste it in here. Just paste
And
it.
it comes in as a vector.
It comes in perfectly. You can adjust it as you like in here as well. And it's so useful to go between all of the programs from Illustrator, Photoshop, right into XD.
There was a question of when does the client approve any of those icons?
Oh, actually, I try not to sort of dive them or drive them into approving visual design. I always try to kind of get their sign off on the flow, on how it works. And in terms of the visual design, and say, okay, well, I don't like the flower at all. Okay, we can change it.
Yeah,
No big deal. Well, what would you like? But for the sake of making a prototype, you just gotta make something. So just make something.
Do you usually show them wireframes first? Like some more grayscale, like not super visually designed flower? Like this one is really nice.
Yeah, so it really depends on the client. I've had clients that enjoy the wireframe phase and they can follow through the flow. But I've also had clients that I would never show the wireframes because they just it's just too much. It just blows them over. They have no idea.
So you have to
just show the prototype.
Yeah.
And the prototype is gonna work the best.
So it depends on the client. You have to like decide what you're gonna show.
And if they don't like, and a lot of the times the client will look at the design and say they don't like it.
But they won't tell you why.
But it's not because they don't like the flow. They don't like the icons. They don't like the color. They don't like the stroke or something. So try to not have that conversation in this phase.
Yeah.
Try to have that conversation later on in the other phase. Okay. So part of the icons, after you build out the icons, whatever you like, of course, you can try to build out some of the navigation bars. Just set some design. Oh, sorry. How do you set up your typography font sizes? Do you go from a formula? So for this, I am using the HIG, the Human Interface Guidelines from Apple. It's exactly the same. And these are the numbers, the titles, Title 1, Title 2, Title 3, headline, body, callout. And it's very important that the body is about 17 points because that's proven to be readable at a distance. So if something is very small and you're kind of looking at your phone and it's 12 points, they're not gonna see it. So there is some important things to think about in terms of the sizing, but in terms of like boldness, black, semi-bold, that's really up to you to decide what you like. But I think the sizing is important to keep it the same.
But if you are, so would you change it if you're using a different font? You probably adjust it, right?
Yes. So you have to adjust it and really look at it on your actual phone to see if it's easy to see.
What's everyone question for the chat? I love this question. What is your favorite font?
Oh my god.
This is my question to the audience and to you.
I'm laughing because that's the question I get from a designer, and I'm like, what font do you like?
I actually don't have any. I don't think in fonts anymore because I've been using Adobe Clean for 5 years. This is the Adobe font.
Michael Chezz's Lobster. Roboto or Proxima Nova.
Avenir is a good one, yes.
Yeah, so anyways, to get started, just start with any font that you like, and I'm just using San Francisco because that's the font that comes with it. So
and the Apple guidelines are super prescriptive. I mean, they're really good at knowing if you don't know too much about design, they'll kind of teach you. So
same with material design for Google. It's very, very clear on what are sort of like the brand guidelines about the size and what's a good idea for, you know, what's readable, what's not readable, you know, because not everyone has great eyesight. Some people are older and they can't see, they need it to be larger. So
but you can
really
adjust that. Yeah, so if you're using the San Francisco, you can. So wait, did you tell me what your favorite font is?
no.
Maybe tomorrow.
It's probably Din. I love Din. I also like
I had a Din
Mason
phase
Sans. I also like Mason Sans. That's the font I used in my PowerPoint. I'm kind of like that. It's a little bit Swiss, a little bold and striking. So back to the components. What I do is I just pick a style that I would like and start making different states. So one state would be, okay, if I picked a color that's underlined and colored. If I did flowers, that's underlined colored, and that arrangements be underlined colored. And what I do here is after I create that, I highlight it all and create a symbol so that every time I want to change it, it would be easier if I just went in and I typed it in rather than copying and pasting a million times over and not be able to change it on the fly. So after making the icons as well, I go ahead and do it to the tab bars. I just place them in.
So you're just making, okay, so you're making a symbol from the whole thing when it's selected, right?
Right.
Yeah, so you can use it.
This is a very back and forth situation where you actually make something, you go back to the style guide, you go back and forth and see what you like to make. So to get started on a few screens, I actually pasted over the 5 top critically important things on the board so I know what I'm doing and stay focused. It's wide selection of products. I want a fast and easy ordering. I want to be able to adjust the price. And also the presentation of the design is important. So after I cleaned up my wireframe drawings, I go ahead in XD, I go ahead and outline it in a wireframe format.
Your wireframes are looking really nice.
By the way, this takes time and is definitely not something that's really quick and easy. You definitely need to spend some time thinking about how to place the screens together. But like I said, you know, focus first on the key screens that we drew on the page. The key screens are these: select a flower, select a color, select a flower type, and then get a list view of the arrangements. So start with that. I usually don't start from the beginning. I don't start with login screens or how do you type your password in, how do you register. I don't do that. I just get right into the meat of the app and work backwards. So it's obvious that you know that this is going to happen, so just make something. Make a grid of a color, a flower, an arrangement. And starting from this, think forward and backwards. So forward would be, all right, well, maybe this is the first screen. I don't have anything in front. So maybe in front of that, I have an introduction to the app. Maybe in front of that, I have a launch screen because that makes sense. Now, if I go backwards and say, all right, here are the arrangements. Where do I put adjusting pricing, adjusting the type? Well, I need a filter screen. So, and then what happens when I tap on the first arrangement? Well, I probably need a product detail page that shows what happens when I click this and I get a details. And what if I get on the detail page and I don't like what I picked? Can I change it or I have to go all the way back to the beginning? Well, that's not very nice. So maybe I do an edit button that allows me to modify the color or the flower. And then obviously I need to check out, I need to buy. So to keep this MVP very simple, I'm only allowing Apple Pay for this. So we're not asking someone, what is your credit card, what is your shipping? I'm just gonna take and assume that everyone using this will be using an iPhone for now. So then click that. Obviously you need a checkout screen and then you need to order confirmation screen. So first just lay out what are the ideas and what is the flow first and not start designing first. Just lay out the flow, look at it and see if that makes sense going forward, going back, and see if that's all there and keep it simple and small.
Do you build a grid or what's your grid viewpoint?
I actually do not have a grid viewpoint.
How do you set up your screens? Like, do you use a grid? That's what I meant.
Yeah, I actually don't set up a grid. I actually just have the two margins on two sides. Either it's 15 or 20, and I just build everything from there.
Right. You would use a grid usually if you're designing for web.
You could make a grid as you like, but in this MVP, you just wanted to get it out there. And I think building the grid and it's a very nice design, and that comes, I feel like, at the end where you can actually revisit the visual and like tweak pixel perfection. But if you don't have that set up and you show it to the client and it's pixel perfect, they might not
They
like
probably
that.
won't notice.
They might not like.
Well, and also you're just designing for phone in this scenario. So if you're designing for an iPad, I mean something that will scale to the iPad, then maybe you need to think about how it's gonna work. But just for phone, it's easier not to think about it.
Yeah. There's a lot of things to think about, and it's gonna be really difficult to think about it all at once. So to keep it really simple, just do this one version and then make this version work. And in order to make a universal app that works on both iPad and iPhone, that is a different type of, I feel like a different type of methodology that I go in, because you have to think in both directions. You have to think, how does the UI work on an iPad? How does that translate to an iPhone? Because on an iPad, you have a lot of real estate. You can have popovers and modals. On the iPhone, you don't. You know, there's different sizing of the iPhone, large to small. And maybe it needs to be a drop down and a full screen instead of a popover.
Right.
So that's definitely making it more complicated than this. So I'm gonna start kind of just working on my wireframe and putting in the styles that I've set up from my kit, which you could take a kit from the Human Interface Guidelines or Google, the Google Material Design. Oh, thank you, Moutnier, for that comment.
So when do you show, there was a question earlier, when do you show the client? Like how, I guess, at what stage do you show them?
Yeah. Different answer for that. Sometimes I personally prefer to show as soon as possible. I don't like to make it perfect in visual design because it might not be something they like, and you might misunderstand their ask. Because a lot of the times when clients are describing what they want, maybe that's not what they really want. And I think that's the difficult part of a designer's job, is to listen intently to hear what exactly are they really saying. Maybe they're not saying, like, for example, I don't like the button because it's blue or something. They're not really saying that they don't like the blue color. Maybe they are. Maybe they're actually saying they don't want a button there. That's not what I want in general. The direction doesn't make sense to me. That wasn't what I'm envisioning. And the thing is, a lot of clients don't have a design background. They cannot make that leap and understand you. So you need to show a prototype. And I think that when you show a prototype with just wireframes, it's just not enough. It's not there. So you just need to add a little bit of design first and make an MVP, a prototype, for them to play. At least they can come halfway and give you some feedback.
Right.
And then work from there, and then edit and revise as it goes. But I don't think that you should be spending a lot of time perfecting what it is. Because at the end of the day, it might be completely wrong. And
you're not designing the whole app. But you'll set it up in your contract of what you're going to show them too, right?
Correct.
So they know what to expect.
Correct.
So probably it's different. Cool.
So I've gathered a bunch of pictures and images online, or from what I actually went on the stock photo for Adobe.
Nice.
I've added hundreds of pictures that I like on floral images. I went on there, looked through some pictures of flowers. I added some of the ones I like to my library, and what I really like about that is the similar images.
Oh yes, that search is so good.
It's like, well, if I like this one, I click on the find similar, and it gives me more of the similar images, which is awesome. I don't have to retype anything, browse. So I've gathered a bunch of images to kind of help me think through the visual part of it. And what's awesome is I could just download all these images that I want to try out into a folder, and I can literally drag and drop these items into my artboard and it will replicate it for me.
Do you know that you can actually, if you have added them to the library, you can actually just open them directly in XD or Photoshop or Illustrator.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. So I would do that.
You can go, where do you have to go? You have to go in XD though.
Oh.
I think you have to
right
go
here.
to the Creative Cloud's library. Yes, that one.
Yep,
Yeah, so if
it's
you select your library, you can just see all the images that you have. There you go. It's in the app. It's super integrated.
Awesome. Okay, cool. So for the first screen, I like this one. I'm just gonna drag it in, put it in there. Okay, it's giant. Should have drawn a box first. First, draw a rectangle so it would mask it. Then open CC Libraries, and then drag and drop it in there. Cool.
Nice.
Double click on that to kind of mess around with it, the sizing. Maybe so put that layer to the back.
Nice.
And then for this, the app icon, I actually made it in Photoshop, so just made something to drop it in. Let's see. Oops. Oops, sorry. Where did my go? Oh,
There's some really good questions in the chat. I'm gonna read them quickly.
Okay.
So, about videos on how to get started with XD. There's tons of resources on the Adobe website. Actually, it's super easy to learn XD, and there's tons of resources already. Question for Kat: who is your favorite UX designers that you're learning from, that you get inspired from? It's a really hard question.
That's a really hard question. I actually look at a lot of people's UX designs, and that's why I love being on Behance. I don't really have a favorite person. I just go on and look at what everyone's doing, and I just love looking at other people's work.
Do you look on Behance?
Yeah, I look on Behance. For sure.
Yeah, there's tons of stuff on Behance. And also if there's formal structure for someone teaching them themselves UI, UX. Did you learn in school or did you teach yourself?
I did not learn in school because UI and UX is not something that's taught in school when I was going through school. And, and it's definitely something that is relatively new, I think, in the design world with the last 5 years. So you really kind of need to teach yourself and be around other people that have a lot of experience with UX and kind of learn from everyone else around you and improve through iterations. And
there's tons of resources. I mean, today there's so much, a lot more than when I was getting started too.
So what I'm doing now is clicking on a text that I typed in, and I just apply one of these character styles that I feel like. So I can click that one, or maybe that's the one that I like. Maybe I like that color. Put in the colors that I prefer. Click around till I like one, and then move on. That's
so beautiful. Nice.
All right, so this one, I was thinking that maybe we'll do some sort of intro, so we're not just dropping the user straight into selecting a color. Made this little cute Murakami style. Hey bud, welcome to Pollen. Here are the 3 key points of what to expect from the app, so maybe the custom selections and, I actually made it at a repeat grid.
Oh, so nice.
I guess we should explain how to make a repeat grid.
Yes, a repeat grid is my favorite thing. It
saves so much time.
Oh my god.
What you do is, if you want something repeated, you basically go ahead and maybe you draw a circle, and then you put some text next to it if you want. And you basically, what I do is I highlight both of them, and you click this button, repeat grid, and you can repeat that
indefinitely
forever, and change
Yeah.
where it's placed. And what's awesome is if you change this, it also reflects the change. So that's, delete that. Saves a lot of time because before any of these UX softwares were made, we literally had to type this, copy it, paste it. It was just a time-consuming.
Adobe Cadabra. I love this.
Repeat grid for the win.
Yeah. So do you have preset type color before saving type styles? Yeah, you did, but you can change them at any time.
Yep. So you can go here, you can mess with that color, click edit, change that. See, it changes my live view.
And for anyone who joined now, we have 29 minutes more for the challenge, which is in the 3rd tab. You can read about it. You can design really quickly in 29 minutes, and we'll be reviewing the entries right then. All you have to do is post it to the Behance work in progress, and it will automatically generate the hashtag Adobe Live. If you're posting from the app, you need to make sure you're adding the hashtag, so we will actually be able to see it. Wow, that was so quick. Wait, what did you do? What did you do?
So let's say I want to add these images into these three circles. What you can do is select the 3 images you want. Literally just click and drag over the circle and it will put it for you. Place them in. Super fast. And also you can do this too for text as well. So if you have text written already, you can actually click and drag that text right into the area you want and it will update it.
Adobe Cadabra.
Yes, it's pretty awesome.
Yes. There's some tips, pro tips on organizing your files while prototyping. Oh man, that's a hard one.
Organizing your files while prototyping. First, I think for me, I need to put them into sections. First, lay out the sections. Color, typography, icons, navigational bars, tab bars, and any kind of visual library that you have that you've created. Organize it in that way. And it's going to be extremely messy. So
yours looks really nice and organized.
That's because I've already cleaned it up, but
my files are a mess. Crazy. Always.
Yes. So you just need to organize it at the end when you feel like it's right. And what I do is I just start playing right on the screen, design some stuff. You might not be able to say, okay, that's exactly what I want, but just go ahead and just start designing something on the screen and then adjust as you go. And that's just sort of like a clean mood board. Yeah, so you can get some inspiration from looking at images and photos, but yeah, it's important to kind of get really messy.
And all creativity is like a kitchen during the cooking process. Yep, that's actually a really good analogy.
Yeah, great.
Yeah. Deadline for submission is in 27 minutes. Design away. And you made your buttons before too.
Yep. So what I do is I made the buttons and I just copy over the buttons, type in the new word that I want, put that in, delete my wireframe for placement, and put it right in.
So right now you're just going, you're going to UI your wireframes. Cool.
So for this one, select a color. That's actually the title bar. So I already have a title bar in here. So I'm just gonna copy that as a symbol. Just move it down for a little bit. Paste it in, get rid of this. So what I also like to do is I like to switch from the assets panel to the layer panel. And to do that, Command Y.
Oh, that's handy. Oh, I never do that.
I actually looked it up. I actually looked it up before today because I kept doing that and I was like, man, there must be a better way to do this. So Command Y to actually see the layers of this particular artboard. And then actually if you do Command Shift Y, it brings it back to the assets panel. So you can switch back and forth quickly.
That's really handy.
So select a color, choose a color and arrangement. So let me go ahead and delete it. So choose a color for your arrangement is like the instructions. So I'll switch back to the layer. Maybe choose 17 text since it's pretty normal size. And then this is actually a repeat grid of the colors. So what I've done is you could draw, I don't know, a box, fill it with a color for now, click the repeat grid, repeat it. Maybe you want 4 colors in a row, maybe? To do that. And then you're done. Also, I always make sure that the box is about 88 because that's sort of like the tap size for the icon. Maybe you can't do 3 or 4. Just play around with it and try it out. So for the repeat grid, I know you can't do it for color yet.
No, I don't think you
get
can.
that. Yeah, you can only
Not yet.
repeat. Yeah, please make that happen.
Yes. I mean, I'm sure it's coming. They're working through features. I mean, they're releasing every month.
So yeah, so right
cool.
now, if I wanted to pick a different color for each one of these, I can't because it's repeating the first one. So if I wanted to be multicolored, I wouldn't be able to. So a fast way to do this is I always set it up to the grid. So this is my grid. And then I go ahead and I right click and I do ungroup the grid. So when I ungroup it, it makes a box individually. And to keep it kind of clean, I also group all those boxes together and kind of rename it as color. So then now I can individually go in and pick the color I like. I can change them. But it sets it up really quickly for me, and I don't have to worry about figuring out if all the margins make any sense. So it's also very speedy.
You had some colors in your assets panel.
Yeah. So I built that already, so I don't have to, you know, pick the color for you now, but that's like how I would do that. Then I basically picked all my colors for me. I'm gonna paste it in.
Oh, they're beautiful.
Thank you. These are all the colors that I took from some flowers online. I'm like,
Have you used Adobe Capture?
Yeah.
It's a mobile app. Oh my god, it's so good. So you can download it on your phone, Adobe Capture, and I always talk about it because I love it. And you can actually pick colors from just walking around with your phone, or pick them from a photo. So this will be like super
awesome,
handy to do. Or you could create patterns and grab vector shapes. There's so much stuff. It's awesome.
So I'm just placing the title bar in this area. Oops, let me just move it down real quick. Same thing with the flower type.
Okay.
On this one, I'm like, well, I like to make a circle. So same concept. I can draw a circle first, and then kind of repeat. Oh, oops.
Oops, forgot the repeat grid. Repeat grid.
I
am magic.
Actually, I made it a little tilted. Let me redraw it. E for ellipse.
You're so fast.
Oh, yeah?
Yep. It's really fun to watch, actually.
Because I really like just using the keyboard shortcuts and not use any mouse clicks because it's just much faster. Oh yeah, and you can also drag outside of the artboard. That's pretty cool. So you can kind of scroll and make that vertical scrolling, which we'll get to in prototype mode, I think. So you kind of just mess with the sort of the images for this, and then maybe I would like a shadow.
I feel like I'm gonna learn a lot about how you work, and I can use some of those techniques in my day-to-day.
Yeah, cool. So then, you know, this is the best part. This is a repeat grid. So I've saved
shadows?
a ton of pictures of different flower variety. So I'm gonna select all these images and literally drop them in.
Oh wow.
We're done.
Cool. Quick. Wow. Where did you get those images? Oh, you got them from Adobe Stock. Yes.
Yes, you can get them from Adobe Stock. You can pick them out. Ones with white backgrounds, and there you go, flowers. And so arrangements, well, arrangements were a little bit harder to kind of get. So I actually took some images from a real flower shop called Urban Stems.
Nice.
Sorry. Because
Yeah,
it was a
I know
little bit
this one.
unrealistic to see sort of these
Oh, their
flowers.
stuff are so, it's so beautiful.
So I clicked on shop and I just took some of their images here as the example for the arrangements. So I have them saved as well in a folder, and we're gonna use the same technique here.
Couple of questions. Favorite shortcut in XD?
Definitely Command Y and then Command Shift Y is very important to me. I always do this very quickly.
To toggle the panel?
Yeah, toggle the panel.
And the other one is flat design versus more three-dimensional. You have some drop shadows there.
Oh yeah. Actually, what's funny is that in my day-to-day designs, I actually do not put shadows on anything. It's all flat. And I thought, you know what? Well, you know, today I'm gonna be creative and put some shadows
Maybe
on
they're
there.
coming back.
Yeah, and also, you know, like the whole like putting buttons that's floating with the background shadow. That's not really a lot of big iOS thing. It's more of a material design in Google. Hey, what the hell? I'm gonna just mix them all together today.
There's no real client. You can do whatever you want.
There's no real client. Do whatever I want. I mean, a person could be like, I don't like this. All right, just take it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, some people are very touchy about that design, and you know, it's not a big deal.
It's not a big deal. It's like
You can remove it.
It's just
everyone has a
toggle.
different taste.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. Some people are very touchy about it.
So making the arrangements here, I can just sort of make a box.
And before
Maybe
you-
it could be curved.
Sorry to interrupt. Before you drag and drop the flowers, did you make them PNGs?
Oh, when I save the pictures, they're PNGs, JPEG, GIFs.
So you just drag them. So you had them
I
before
just drag
and
them.
you drag them into the
I
grid.
don't. Yeah. I don't do anything to the images. You don't have to do anything to them.
But you can adjust them inside once they're in the circle.
Oh, right.
Yours fit perfectly.
Oh, if you double click on that, you can see it, and you can click and drag the zoom level that you want. So you could. I didn't edit any of this, so it's just sort of it just placed. Maybe the placement for some of these are not exactly best because maybe they're just too small. You can't see them. So double click on that and then just kind of mess around with the mask inside.
Because that's what it's doing, is creating a mask. Yep, cool. There was a question about rounded corners versus square.
Well, the square to me seems very business-like and serious, and rounded corner is not as much. But the rounded corner, I usually do a 12 radius or 6. 12 is a little whimsical, maybe 6 is less. As you can see, it's a little bit less serious, and maybe 12 is extremely bubbly-like, and maybe that's not something that someone likes, but that's just sort of your taste. So yeah, so this is gonna be images of my arrangement. So I typically like to group them, so it's a lot easier to manage the design and see what's going on here, and it's probably great to stay very clean and update the names.
Do you name your layers?
Yeah, I do.
Wow. You're
Don't
so
have time right
good.
now, but
You're
you
so
should.
good.
You should, because it's gonna replicate a million times, and then it's all gonna be all messed up. And
Yeah, I
you
guess
gotta make sure that
when you work with a
clean.
team and everyone's sharing the file, this is like kind of the nice thing to do.
Oh yeah, because you gotta think about other people when they're working on your file. You're like, what did you do?
Do you generally work with other people?
Yeah,
Like on the same file, like collaborate?
Yeah, currently I do we have a kit that we have shared components and reusable components for design systems. So when you're doing kind of a design system, it's very important to keep everything very clean and like you get what's going on. So keeping it clean is important.
Yes, absolutely. When I started using XD, actually, they didn't have the layers panel yet because we were using the very first version. So we were trying to design without layers panel. Yes.
Oh,
Okay.
cool. I didn't mean to do that. I mean to pick some.
Oh.
So let's see. All
Oh, and naming your naming your files is key too. It looks like you have a really nice folder structure. Everything's organized.
Oh, in here? Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to make sure it's.
Yep.
These are arrangements. These are flower variety. These are photography. Make sure they're all in the right place so someone can find them.
You came very well prepared.
Thank you. There's just so many files, and you just have to keep track of them. It's better to just name them one at once. So what I did was I just drag and drop them in here, and they're not really the image that I really want. So you could actually drag and drop specific ones in there to edit it. So that's also very convenient. Not sure what I really like. For now, I'll just drop some.
And there's only 14 minutes left to submit your design, one screen, for the challenge today. And the prize for that is a Creative Cloud subscription for a whole year, which is very exciting. All the products.
Oops. I don't need that. I just need this.
Cool. It's really fun to watch. I feel like the art director who's like sitting there just watching.
That's the best part, is watch someone design.
I know.
You don't have to do it, actually. Like,
just give feedback. Move it 2 pixels to the right. Or move it back.
The hovering art director.
1 pixel to the left, please. Make that pixel.
That's
What was your story in the book?
Make the
pixel
Make it smaller.
Make the pixel
when it's
smaller.
already small. Like,
That's
what
awesome.
the hell? Yeah, so these are actually the pictures that I put in. So I've just showed you how to do that, and I can just make that into a symbol and paste that in.
So you can reuse
Got
it after.
Done, yeah. Or if you don't like that layout, you can change it quickly.
If your client says, I don't like blue, I want to make it orange.
Well, if you really,
green.
Yeah. Go to the symbols panel, change the blue color into the green one.
She didn't write a book. She had her. There was a question. Wait, you wrote a book? I'll let you tell the story.
No way, no. No, it was just a joke that was published. I just submitted one quote and it just happened to be in a book.
It was published in a book. What is the book called?
Clients from Hell.
This is awesome. Clients from Hell. I'm sure there's tons of good quotes. I've seen all these websites where they have quotes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What people say.
Yeah.
It's hilarious. So making the filter right now.
Make it pop. Make it pop. That's another quote from a client, right?
Oh my god, yeah.
Make it pop.
Yeah, these are all the things that designers hate when they hear that, because it doesn't really mean anything.
It doesn't mean anything.
Like, what does making it pop mean?
I don't know.
It just means
it doesn't
make it more vibrant.
Yeah, it's not working for me.
Make it larger. Actually, I realized something. I do have a
Give me more quotes. Make it
I
more VR. Oh, that's a new one.
Make it more VR.
This must be a new one. I guess I haven't worked with clients in a long time because I work in-house.
They say all kinds of stuff, and it's up to you to figure out what they're trying to say, you know? Sometimes it's just really funny. And
how do you make it more VR? But don't make it... Wait, make it more VR, but don't make it VR. That's a good one. I don't know what size I need to just make it... Oh. That's good.
Do it more colorful? Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That, you know,
make it look like Apple. That's a good one
when
too.
People say do it more colorful, I just say just design it harder. It doesn't mean
Add
anything.
QR codes. That's a good one. How do you deal with a client who acts polite in the beginning and becomes rude in the middle?
Oh, that happens all the time. Keep your cool.
Always keep your
cool and just, work things out. And a lot of, you know, a design job is actually a lot more difficult than people think. And a lot of it is the art of selling your idea, selling your designs, and making sure your clients are on board with what you are giving them. That's a very important aspect of design. And also, you know, it depends on how you sell it. And if you're not good at selling, start selling every day. Start selling stuff to your friends, your parents. Start selling like anything you want to sell.
Did you have a lemonade stand growing up?
No. But I always try to sell people stuff all the time.
Because that's like the first selling point for everyone.
Yeah, I mean, you could say, oh, you know, Mom, give me $5. I want to go to whatever, get an ice cream. Like, why? Well, what's the reason?
Yeah. Oh, so we have only 9 minutes left for the submissions, but this is only for our segment. There's 2 more segments coming up after us. We're gonna be here all day. Oh, here's the schedule. Thank you. So at 11 Pacific time, we have Lauren, hosted by Mark. At 1, we have Josh, hosted by Michael. So they will be, you can continue working on your challenge and they will look at your submissions. So you still have a chance to win. And we will be here tomorrow and Thursday, same time.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah. Oh, the last deadline is at 2:30. Yes. So keep designing. I'm super excited to see what people made. That's the best part. Yeah. For us here, I mean, at Adobe, we design the tools that everyone is using. So for me, it's super interesting to see what people create with the tools we make.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
We have no idea what they could come up with. Super interesting. Oh, so you're now on the product details page. I got distracted.
Trying to finish this up before our challenge.
You have time. Looks like you'll be done.
Almost done.
Let's see, photography. So I want to also include a picture of a designer. So there's some face to who's gonna be doing your arrangement.
Oh, so it's like a profile page. Oh yeah, that's
no,
nice.
just on the side.
So you know who the designer is. Yeah. Oh, that's actually really good.
For example, like in this area, if I were to select a color, what's actually missing from the screen is the on state. This is only the off state. So meaning that when you click it, you know, what happens. So in this scenario, obviously you need to edit the flow. So what I would do is just move it out of the way and do that. Move it over a little bit. Select the screen, duplicate it, so it would be completely the same. And you need to actually make a design for what happens when you click this color, click this color, click that one. Touch.
I always say click when I was supposed to say
touch. I mean, yeah, you're right. So I just made some examples here. I did like a check mark for these.
Oh, like a selected state. Oh,
yes.
Cool.
So
yeah, you always have to think about those things. Don't forget those.
Click on that. Click on the layer.
Oh, there was a question we missed before. Any suggestions on books for UX design?
Yeah, there's so many books. Man, Art of the Cell. There's, UX design. Man, I can't recall a book right now.
Maybe
there's so many.
Okay, so come back tomorrow when we come. Yes, same time. We'll do our homework. We're gonna be thinking about books today.
Okay.
And tomorrow we'll have a list.
Okay, sure.
I always have a hard time like thinking of something like this.
Like right off the bat.
Yeah. Well, those are hard questions. You guys are asking the best questions today. Or if anyone has suggestions, help everyone out. Design of everyday things is a good one, yes.
So I'm also making the on state for this one.
Oh, once you selected.
So I want to lock it first so I don't mess with it. Press E for that. Maybe I'll do a border that's blue.
Nice.
And that would be the hover state. Place it over. This is just for me to see what would happen if, you know, lay out kind of the structure.
Because you're thinking of what's the actual flow.
Correct. And then getting on here, maybe I just change that to the big title. Change that. Maybe make it bolder. Maybe make that less important. So right here I have the different types of sort of descriptions that I want to add in. So maybe there's flower meanings, there's color meanings.
Ooh, that's really nice.
There's
actually.
occasions, fragrances, and reviews. So these are actually separate sections. And to kind of prevent the screen getting really, really long, I decided to do a carousel type design, which allows you to just press the area in which you want to kind of unfold the information instead of just giving it all to you at once. It's just too much and it's overwhelming. So you can just kind of replace these.
Oh, cool. So you can just expand those.
Expand those, yeah.
Yeah, my other favorite client comment is, it's below the fold. No one scrolls.
Oh man, that's my favorite one. I mean, that's a battle that I battle with every day in my life.
People don't scroll.
Oh yeah, they don't. So I mean, that's why, I mean, with this design, you have to put sort of the icon for purchasing above the screen fold. So you can say it does that already.
The buy always has to be above the fold.
Right.
And I think the challenge is probably to convince your client that you only need one buy button, because they want like 5. They do? I don't know, sometimes.
Oh my god.
I've worked with clients who wanted like 3 buy buttons, different
way of buying it?
Yes.
Wow. I love clients.
Yes, she does know what she's doing.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. It takes a lot of thought in how to do this, and it takes a lot more time than it seems like right now that it's taking. It does take a while to think about all these use cases and what you're gonna do.
You did a lot of that thinking before you came here, so.
Yeah, because I really just want to show you sort of the end product quickly without really spending the time thinking about it on air, so you can better kind of so for this screen, flower details, I was thinking you click one of these
Oh, cool.
and say, all right, well, what's part of this arrangement? Is it a peony? Like, what is that?
Yeah.
So I just replicated the product page, and instead I just put a picture of...
Oh, that's nice. So you can see what that flower, the particular flower is.
Right.
Yeah. We have only 2.5 minutes. I guess you're kind of racing against the deadline, too.
Yep, I am.
But you still have 2 days to design, so we're good.
Yep. Almost there. So I will... Let's see, which flower do I want to do?
Oh, and you gotta make sure that you're putting in the right picture with the right flower. Because the client will get stuck. That's not a peony.
Yeah, exactly. It has to be realistic and it has to make sense. Can't just be like anything. So right now, just setting it up for what it looks like, and you can go in and edit it after the fact and make it more realistic and accurate. Let's see, so for these two, this is gonna be when someone selects the flowers, that arrangement, and they're like, well, I don't want this color scheme. Can I change it? Sure.
So you've already gone deep into the flow.
Yep.
And you don't want them to come back, right? You don't want them to undo.
So what I'm gonna do now is apply an overlay, and that overlay is basically gonna be on top of this. So when you need to add an edit button. So after you add an edit button, then it will probably pop up, show you the picture, the colors that you've selected, and also switch to the flowers you selected and edit it. So I'm gonna do that really quick.
Cool. How do you deal with the deadline stress? You only have 50 seconds.
work faster. I don't know. How do you deal with deadline stress?
I don't know. I try to keep it cool as much as I can.
Cool.
You kind
and
of learn. I
collected.
think you learn. I used to get more stressed. Now I try to keep it more cool. But there's always, I mean, there's moments in which you lose it.
I think you just have to kind of find ways to work faster, like
Yes.
shortcuts. Maybe there's another way to do something that you don't know, and
Yeah.
you know, talk to your designer friends and like, how do you go about doing this?
Yeah.
How do you do a lot of repeat grids? Do you copy and paste? Show
Right.
them your workflow, and then ask someone to say, hey, can you evaluate how I'm doing it and see if there's any shortcuts?
And yeah, coming from the designer at Adobe perspective, we're always thinking about how to optimize workflows and how to make designers and artists more efficient in general. But I guess if you keep up with the XD releases, that's what they're thinking about, is how to optimize and make you less stressed.
Yeah, so like the repeat grid is a great addition.
Yes. The assets and the
Being able to edit the assets from the asset library and changing them all on the fly. Maybe someone doesn't like a certain color, go in and edit that color and everything will be changed at once. Changing the text and even like dragging in a text file to replace things where, you know, in a regular scenario, you would just have to type it in each line item, and that's just like a lot, just too much.
yeah.
So
Yeah, it looks like the submission deadline is done. So we'll be looking at submissions really soon. And hello to anyone who just joined. And yes, this is a great resource, the XD resources. So what are you going to show us tomorrow? I'm curious.
oh yeah, so tomorrow, obviously we didn't have time to wire this up, so tomorrow we'll be going through how to actually wire all of these screens up in a prototype and being able to see how it interacts, and then talk about some of the new features that we want to add to this. So for a sneak peek for new features, we're going to be adding on an ability to upgrade the floral arrangement from small, medium to large, because now the business want to allow people to have a grander arrangement at a different price point that they like, and also the ability to kind of pick and choose their own vases, which is their version of upsell. And to the point of a customer not being able to see what the arrangement might look like in person, maybe we will do some creative AR scenario where we're able to put the image on your phone and you can kind of point it at your kitchen and see what the arrangement looks like in real life, and kind of swipe through different vases and see sort of like a prototype of what my arrangement would look
We're
like.
going to make it more AR.
Make it more AR.
Without being AR.
And then also we can also add in the feature of, you know, identifying a plant. And that's more of a machine learning type idea where you point your phone at a certain plant and it was able to come up with options and say, hey, is that plant a lavender? Is that plant a this and that? And you teach the program to say, all right, this is what I want to do. And if I like it, I might be able to say that in my favorites and be able to order more of what I actually like, because that kind of solves the issue of like, I don't know what these flowers are called and I don't know if I even want them. So we can kind of explore a little bit more on sort of the conceptual ideas of not just creating the flow as it works, but something more creative.
Cool.
So that'll be tomorrow.
Nice.
So,
should we go look at some submissions?
Yeah, great.
And we can pop back into the design,
okay.
perhaps. Okay, so we're sharing my screen. Okay, cool. I'm gonna pause this. I think I did right. Yes. So this is actually the new feature that Behance has, where you can post work in progress, and you can do it from the web or you could do it from the app. And it kind of works like Instagram stories, but obviously it's a lot cooler because you can be sharing your work in progress and get feedback from your friends, your colleagues, the community. And yes, we should look at this. Oh, how do I do that? I don't know if I can. Oh wait, I can just make this bigger. Yes, thank you. Oh wait, I skipped. Okay, hold on, let's stay here. So we have this first entry, and we're designing, this was to design a UI. Oh, okay, so I think it's gonna stay. No, it's playing. I can't make it stay. Okay, I keep clicking it. Oh no, I'm going back. Sorry, technical difficulties. I know how to use the internet. Okay, we'll do it again. Okay. And I think it disappeared. Okay, so it stopped. Okay, I won't be clicking around. I made it pause. Okay, cool. Let's look at this one. Milan. I hope I'm pronouncing names right. No, everyone has problems with mine. So, what do we think?
Oh, so sorry, to recap, this is a project to redesign a playlist?
Yes, it's a one-page playlist for favorite music app.
Oh, okay. Let me see. Browse, search, library, and I can't tell what that is. Okay.
Home. There's home.
Yeah,
Yes.
I really like the design. Reminds me very much of Spotify in the way that you can click the up arrow, and I'm assuming when you click the up arrow, you actually go into that song with the album cover and go back, and you can see a list. So that's pretty cool.
It feels to me like it's designed for Android because it's using the arrows,
Yes.
which is really good. I mean, it's nice to stay true to the platform. Yeah.
And also the, what I call the kebab, the 3 circles.
Oh, the hamburger. No,
call
wait,
them kebab
no,
because it's like
kebab.
a circle.
Oh, it's not a
Instead of
hamburger. The
lines,
hamburger is the one with the line.
I just made it up.
Oh, that's a good one. I like that. I'm gonna start using it. Yep. So that's where you get more details. I like the color. Yeah. What would you do differently?
I think that for me to kind of update the visual graphic, I think the back buttons and the buttons on the top might be a little bit too big. And then I would like to see the title of the playlist a lot bigger and bolder, and sort of like the number of songs below that be less opaque so that it's a lot easier to see the title and it's more of a hierarchy comment. I also maybe think about using maybe white. In terms of like the background graphic, I typically don't like to put a full image behind because it's kind of hard to read the text. So maybe it's a lot more dark. It's a lot darker, and it's not neon. So it's a lot easier on the eyes.
Yeah.
So I would probably change the color type
So give more
to
contrast.
white.
Yeah,
Give
I
more
like
contrast.
that. Same. Good job. Okay, next one. I can't make it stop.
Oh, maybe click the message. What?
No.
Oh, it did. Oh, okay.
I think it's one click and it keeps playing. Okay, it stopped. Okay. Oh, I don't know.
Cool. So
Jake.
yeah,
Cool.
this is similar to the one previously. It has a darker background. It has extra buttons on the bottom that allows you to play, rewind, and fast forward. I think I would like only to have one button there so that I can just have one button that switches back and forth. So a play, and once it's playing, show a progress bar and then have the pause there
Right.
instead of having 3 buttons because it's going to be very small.
And the title could get long. I mean, you always have a longer title because you want to see what it is. Right?
Yeah, and one other thing you could add to it, you could add an album cover image right before the song title.
Ooh, that's nice. Yeah. I like the background color. It's got that moody, nice. Okay, I'm going to the next one. And I made it stop.
Light theme. I like the color scheme. Reminds me of a Facebook color layout. And I see the album icon in a play.
Untitled playlist. Okay.
There's nice icons at the bottom, which kind of are covered by the send a message. Those are nice touches.
Nice. I like how it's like different from the other ones, which is more of a solid icon that is like white, and then when it's hovered over, maybe it's dark. Versus this is more of a stroke to solid, which is more of a iOS 10 style versus iOS 11 style. Cool, nice work.
Nice.
Ooh, fancy.
Oh, this is different. Cool.
Yeah, I like the treatment of a creative tab bar on the bottom with the rounded corner. It's also gradient. I like how the layout is different from a typical list view. The list view on the previous designs is more of a standard interface from the human interface guidelines, but this is also very cool because you can actually do something more creative and say, all right, the box is that song, and when it's playing, it actually loads behind it.
Oh, that's a really good idea. Yeah. I like big type too. The only challenge will be fitting a lot of playlists. You'll have to scroll a lot. So if you're presenting this to a client, you might need to have like a backup version that's more traditional, so they don't get scared and say, no one scrolls.
Yeah, or even have another version that allows you to flip between the two. So one is like a thick box, and the other one is more of a typical row style.
Do you usually show just one version to a client, or you usually show two?
Depends. I think if I'm on the fence and I know they're kind of asking for something that they're not verbally saying, and I kind of sense that they don't know what they're asking for, I always give them the one they're asking for sure, and then give the one I think they're asking for. And I always present the one that I think they're asking for first, then to show them the one. The reason is because you want to sell them that they actually want this, and not the one they're asking for.
Right. Yeah. Cool. Let's move on. Good job, Sandeep. Okay, Tim. And I made it stop.
Cool. Nice change on the album cover because they're actually people.
And it's Rufus. It's.
I like the hierarchy of the screens. Easy to get to. I question the kebabs now that I looked at a few versions with the kebab. Maybe they should be an arrow that clicks next and instead of a button. Because the kebab makes me think that you are tapping on it and a little box comes out and it says maybe like
edit,
share your playlist, edit the playlist. I don't know if that's the intention or you're actually just tapping on that and going to the list itself. Not really sure.
Yeah.
But this is why it also reminds me of Android because I think Android has that interaction. I like the gradient. I like the font color. It's very nice and appealing.
Should we move on?
Yep. Cool. Love the take on this one. Definitely different from the previous ones we have. The image of the first one, maybe I'm thinking that the thinking behind this is that you'll have a scrolling area on the top, maybe,
or it gives you like,
or gives you some suggestions on the playlist that you are checking out. Because at first, I'm assuming that this is more of a page that will list out the songs, which is what it looks like. It looks like the title is Workout Motivation, and then each one of the items below are actually songs, and they're not a list of playlists. It's more of a list of songs inside one playlist. So in the UX, it all makes sense. Maybe you hit the back button, and then you get to the list view. Yeah.
I really like that there's a trending tab at the bottom. You can't really see it because it's behind send the message, but that's kind of a handy way to get to playlists that you might be able to discover. I'm always looking for something new and kind of have to look for. Good job.
Great.
Next one.
Ooh, colorful.
Oh, make it colorful. This is where the client was successful.
Yeah, and it has a nice touch to the outer glow in the purple behind each of the album covers.
It's definitely iOS because it's got the iOS button. And
does it have lines in between them?
the button,
Each one of the...
I think there are some light, like some of the light blues.
Yeah, so at a glance, from pretty kind of far away looking at the screen,
I see it's closer. Yeah, that's why.
I probably would change the line dividers a little bit darker. I like how there's no arrow or kebab or anything like that on the right side of the row. But I would like some separation between all of them so I know, this is the area you're going to tap on.
Yeah. Yeah, if you're not gonna, I mean, you could do no lines, but it has to be intentional. I guess it's hard when it's like not neither one.
And I would really explore and think about what would be like the on state, because if everything's sort of like a outer glow and you're tapping on it, maybe it's a stroke around the button. Maybe they're not outer glow and it's literally just normal, and then when you tap on it, there's outer glow.
Yeah, I guess for all of them, it would be nice to know if the song that you're playing right now is coming from any of those playlists. Maybe the playlist's way down, so maybe we're not seeing it, that's why. But I think showing it in design reviews, it's good to have that. And if you have to share with your engineers, then you really have to have that state. Good job.
Awesome.
Okay, we're moving on to the next one. And I finally figure out how to stop this thing from moving.
You tap it once?
Yes. I'm learning.
Cool, this is a different take, alternate row coloring, which is pretty cool. I like that a lot. We do that a lot when you see sort of a big table list and there's a lot of content and it's kind of hard to see which one's which. I like that kind of separation instead of doing a divider line. Yeah, my playlists. I think the space between the songs and the title, I would like to see them a little bit more closer together.
Me too. But that's a minor typographic.
Thing.
Yeah. Yep. I would maybe try to have one primary color. Having two is difficult sometimes, especially when they're kind of on the opposite side of the color wheel. Yeah.
Cool. It's very clean and reminds me kind of like Microsoft a little.
Yeah, it does have a little bit of Microsoft. Cool, next one. It's a light theme again. This is more iTunes, I guess. Or Apple Music.
Yeah, Apple Music. For one thing, I think the font is just way too small.
What font is this? Ash? I'm curious.
Yeah, it's a little too small because at a glance you can't really read it, and then there's a contrast issue where when you have something that's a different font and it's not easy to read, or it's very stylized font, it's gotta be very big so that it's a lot easier to see if you're gonna use something something more of a cursive-y type font, and that would be something good to change. On the bottom, I like how it's sort of big and it's showing. What is it saying? Send.
I can't see because the send a message is above it. I wish there was a way to not see it. Yeah, I guess my only concern will be with the top buttons that the touch area might not be 44 pixels. So you need to make sure that they have enough space, and those icons might need to be bigger. But the design looks really clean, which I like.
Yeah, I probably would also like to move the buttons for the search, I think Discover and the hamburger, maybe to the right side.
Yeah.
That's a good placement for, maybe you want to sort the playlist, maybe you want to, categorize the playlist in a different way. That's a good placement.
Yep. Definitely. Next. Ooh,
Cool.
Cool. We have a different color theme here. Nice background image.
I like how the the contrast is very high, so I can see it well. The title of the playlist, and then the name is actually more opaque than the title.
The typography is definitely working well here. Yeah.
Good use of the color and background and opacity and blur. So maybe you have a different playlist, and maybe it will load a different image behind it, and that's pretty awesome.
We have to keep going faster because
Okay.
we are running out of time.
Okay, yeah, this is definitely a
Oh, this
more
is
creative
interesting.
version
Yeah.
where each one is like a card by itself. That's really cool.
Yeah, I like it.
What I would say to this one, maybe there's so much space inside, so maybe we could just put the names of each song
Ooh,
inside
yeah,
it.
that's a really good idea, actually.
See a little preview, or maybe it like has a little animation where it marquees up.
It would be nice to also have another alternative view that's more traditional in case you want to see everything a lot tighter. But it's a good, like, wow the client solution. All right, I'm moving faster now. Cool. Next one. Stormify.
Yeah, same comment about the hierarchy. So the title of the playlist, I would like to see that bigger and darker, more than the number of songs. I think there are rule lines. Not sure. Maybe they're not.
There's no lines in
okay.
between.
Yeah, I like the design overall. Looks good.
It looks clean. Yeah, I like the use of color at the top and the bottom, for sure. Yes, the typography could get tighter. And I would be careful with how you place, what you place in the navigation, because I think this is also missing the status bar that will always be there. So it's going to push everything down, and you kind of want to give more breathing room. Okay, moving on faster.
Yeah, I guess this one, I like the dark theme a lot. I like how you're using sort of a gradient for each row. Just be careful with the contrast level for the text and names. Definitely needs to be on white when you're doing something on dark, because it's hard to see and hard to read, especially if that color is competing with sort of the neon green that you have going on. So maybe the title or the name of the playlist is also neon green, and you have songs in gray, something that kind of tie it all together. Good work. Next. Oh, that's interesting. Very similar to sort of like the one we had before, where it's a big card but circular.
I like circles. They're more friendly, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely more friendly to use a circle and kind of scroll through each element, and that's pretty creative. Love it.
It's kind of nice that the circle was used also on the bottom, so there's the replication of that. I would be careful with the title, because when you're designing for the worst case scenario, there'll be a lot more text. A lot more. And maybe an alternative version where there's the more traditional. Yep. Sebastian.
Awesome, nice. I like the gradient, dark theme, indigo theme. The icons are really nice in the right sizing. I think it doesn't. There's nothing to me that stands out to be blatantly large or blatantly small. I like the use of the search, maybe discover, and maybe the list view, which is the icon on the upper left. Overall, I like that.
It's nice that we're seeing actually tabs for the first time.
Yes.
A different type of tab. So far, we've looked at the bottom navigation, but this one is different.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, sometimes I think about if we even need the tabs, because you're kind of going into the playlist title. Maybe the tab's not necessary to be there, and when you need to hit back, and the tab is actually on that screen, and this screen is just the list view. But in this design, it makes me think that you can actually swipe through and go to the playlist, the song, the albums, and get another list, and you don't really need a tab. So that works well for me.
Wait, are we done? We did look at this one already. I think we're done. Yay, good job, everyone.
Awesome.
It looks like we have 1 minute. How did this happen? I thought it would be like 2 hours.
We
It'd be
talked
so
too much.
long. Well, the good news is we'll be here tomorrow and Thursday, continuing. And you'll have a lot more things to show us.
Yeah,
I learned
definitely
so much.
tomorrow. Oh, thank you so
I'm
much.
going to go use some of those skills now.
And obviously, I will tomorrow bring back some of the ideas for what are some nice UX books and what are some things you can like read and learn about more about UX.
And we're gonna also tell you who the winner is from today's challenge. But keep designing because there's 2 more segments after us. So yeah, it's a full day. And again, tomorrow and Thursday we'll be back at the same time.
Awesome.
Cool. This was so much fun. Thank you.
Thank you. And see you guys tomorrow.
Everyone. Thank you everyone in the chat. Great questions. Those were fantastic.